Jeff. I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to be joined by the man himself, Pat Croce. Pat, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jason and Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure.
Joining us. It is absolutely our pleasure. I'll let Jeff take it away real fast.
So, Pat, before we get to the stuff that you want to discuss, it is NFL draft week. And so you got to experience what it's like to be there and be part of a player recognizing their dreams and getting drafted. What was it like for you to be there and to see those reactions and how you were changing lives?
Jeff, that was a memorable day. I was at the draft itself, the lottery. I was not at the draft when Allen Iverson, our player, was picked with number one. I was watching it on TV, waiting for him to be delivered to Philadelphia for our press conference. But just to win the lottery in 1996 was an unbelievable experience. To know that we had the power to change a franchise with one selection, one unbelievable mighty might of a man who played outside his size, who played outside his determination and his courage. So I did watch his experience, and I did get calls prior to that, Jeff, from Reebok praying that I would pick him. But that was not why we picked him, obviously. We just thought Allen Iverson would be the best possible person on the planet to change the franchise and the luck of our draw.
Well, you changed the course of my childhood watching it, so thank you. I enjoyed that for sure. And then all of a sudden you go from being an owner and in the business world to retiring and going on your own journey for the last couple years, sort of outside of the public view. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey you've been on and what's brought you back into the public light now?
Oh, thank you. That's a deep question. And it happened 6 years ago. I wasn't planning on any spiritual quest. I was in a spiritual seeker. I had our businesses in Orlando and St. Augustine, our restaurants and museums and bars. And I was retiring at the end. I did retire at the end of 2014. I just turned 60. But I happened to read an article on a travel magazine by a guy named Pico Iyer, who had since been on TED Talks on stillness. Now, why that would interest me, I have no idea. But he said this one line, guys, that really had an impact on me. Most of our life occurs in our head. Memory, imagination, speculation, interpretation. So if you want to change your life, you best begin by changing your mind. Right there, I thought, can you change your mind? I can change a body as a physical therapist, athletic trainer. I change bodies and work with bodies from Dr. J, Charles Barkley, Mike Schmidt, Bobby Clark. I mean, they were all playing with their bodies, but can you change a mind? I can change my opinion. And that made me delve into really, what is this mind all about? Because the nature of the world is only perceived by the nature of our mind. And so I went on this quest around the world, spent time in Bhutan and Maui and Thailand and Jerusalem and New York at the Omega Institute, just to go deeper and deeper into the realm of our true nature. And somehow something happened that had a crack in my head and the ego seeped out, and you get to realize that everything I was searching for, all the happiness I was searching on the outside for in achievements, wins, objects, substances, states of mind, which were all transient, temporary, all come and go, were not necessary. You just had to go inward and bang, it's right there. And meditation helped, obviously. And I never even thought of meditating till that first day. And I went and looked at some other stuff. A guy named Andy Podicombe, who has a TED Talk on just meditation, on mindfulness. I didn't even know how to spell the word. And since that time, he has a great app, a meditation app called Headspace, and you may be familiar with it. But that's really what took me into it. That was the start. I'm a curious person by nature, and I just fell into this. And again, I was retired. I just retired, so it was January 2015. And then for the next 6 years, I just went deep.
What was the trigger for you? Because when people think of Pat Croce in this area, they think of this positive person who already is changing minds and changing lives. Mm-hmm. What made you want to go on this journey?
You're going deeper on me. It was ego at the time because I had pitched a book with a guy named Larry Platt to a man named David Black, a big time agent in New York, in November of 2014, just about when I was turning 60. And he said, Pat, you've already written a bestseller. If you want to write another book, we don't need a motivational book. We need a transformational book like Tuesdays with Maury, written by Mitch Albom, who's a friend of mine. You know Mitch probably from the Detroit Free Press. And
Great
I
book,
said, oh, isn't it? He sold over 15 million copies. And I thought, transformational? I'm listening to him, but I'm thinking to myself, what? WTF? I'm like, I'm already healthy, wealthy, and happy, I thought. But it stuck with me. And so then when I saw that thing about changing your mind, you guys asked a good question. That really triggered me, but it was ego. It was commercial. Oh, wow, if I could figure this out, I could sell another book. But along the process, the ego kind of dissolved away, and the book was irrelevant. This whole experience of just peace, love, and happiness invading everything I do, that you go into it not looking for it, but sharing it as a purpose is it's a whole different perspective of life.
And so you go on this journey for 6 years, you get yourself to a place where you find peace. COVID happens for the pandemic, and that's not what truly impacted your personal health. You get another diagnosis. Can you tell us about what happened in December?
You're good. You guys are good. So it was, again, probably around my birthday, November 2nd. I had this, and I've had squamous cells cut off me and basal cell carcinomas cut off. They're nothing. They're not malignant. I'm half Irish, half Italian. I say I'm a mixture of Gaelic and garlic. Well, the Gaelic part gets those little skin eruptions, and you cut them off, the dermatologist. But I had this itch right on my sternum, and it wouldn't go away. And I'm thinking, and my wife's gone, what is that? And she could see a rash to the right of it, the size of a $50. And I'm thinking, do I have poison ivy? Because I do a lot here at Meditation Hill, my personal retreat in the woods. I have almost 3 miles of paths that I hand make. I make for myself and for visitors, friends. And so I'm always in the woods working and enjoying nature. I thought, I never have my shirt off. How did I get this? And so I put some ointment on it, and then it wouldn't go away. I called the dermatologist. She prescribes 2.5% steroidal cream. I do it for 2.5 weeks, twice a day. I'm embarrassed to call her back because it's still there. So she's come in for a biopsy. I go in. Okay, she does a biopsy. 3 weeks later, I get a phone call on a Friday morning. Pat, you have T-cell carcinoma. I said, I'm sorry, T-cell lymphoma. I said, do I have cancer? She said, yes. I said, okay, what do I do about it? Let's go. What do I do about it? Meet with an oncologist, and they do the surgery. They cut me across the chest. They take a big swath out. Then I go to a radiology oncologist. So for the month of December, radiation, I look like someone dropped a hot waffle iron on my chest. And so, but it's gone. I mean, it's gone. I got a little funky blood work here and there, but that's no side effects, no consequences, never stopped me from working out, doing my woodworking, training, working in the woods. But I did, guys, and this is what happened. I thought there's no reason that grace, God, Brahman, consciousness, whatever you want to call the divine, says, no, you're just going to have cancer and that'll be the end, then you'll fix it. Nah, I took it as a calling. So in January, I literally called the Northeast region of the American Cancer Society, introduced myself, a lady by the name of Paula Green. She recognized my name. She's a sports fan. And I said, I just want to help. I'll be an ambassador. I've been secluded on self-isolation for 6 years, but I want to come down off the mountain and I want to help. And so she said, let us get back to you. And guys, they had this program called HEALED, Health and Energy Through Active Living Every Day. It was research done with 85 patients in Atlanta, 2019, cancer patients with wonderful results, how daily activity benefited cognitive behavior, healing, everything, attitude, outlook, perspective, and blood pressure. But they tabled it. because they didn't have the money for marketing engagement to get the second round, which would require 400 patients, various cancers. She came back. I said, I'm in. I said, what do you need? She said, 2.5 million. I said, I'll give you 10% of that, $250,000, and I'll raise the rest. Let's go. And so right now we're almost about 1.75 million, and we have the website that every one of your listeners, Jeff and Jason, can go to, and with $25, it's called.
And what is it? What is that website?
It's ACS for American Cancer Society. ACS Healed, HEALED.com. ACSHealed.com. And everyone who comes on for $25, whatever you want to put on, you'll get this bracelet, this black lava bead bracelet that I'm wearing that has one green bead, that we're all in this together. Whatever this is, guys, we're all in it together, regardless of race, creed, status, sex. It doesn't really matter. And you will automatically sign up that on Wednesdays, starting this Wednesday, Cinco de Mayo, I will host at noon Eastern Time a community gathering, a healed community gathering for an hour, power hour. Everyone who has the link, who has signed up, and my first guest is Michael Jack Schmidt, he's going to share his experience with melanoma. And I'll also have on the exercise physiologist, Dr. Erica Reese-Punia, who's doing the research down, because our money raised is helping her do this second round of 400 patients in Atlanta at the American Cancer Society headquarters. She'll be on as well. And so we'll take questions. It's just going to be a way for us to be a giant community of cancer survivors, patients, caregivers, loved ones, friends. People will get pinged with like, wow, I could try that, or I could do this. It's going to be something. I'm calling it a movement because it's not been done before. I want to rock the world.
Pat, we've been talking on this show a lot. We've been working with the Coaches versus Cancer and the American Cancer Society, because there are so many athletes and people in the sports world that use their platform the way that you are using it. How important do you think it is to use the platform the way that you are?
First, let me tell you, the purpose of the universe is happiness. And so we all strive for happiness, desire happiness in different ways. Everyone has a desire for happiness. At some point, and those athletes and coaches that you're talking about, at some point they recognize, instead of for happiness, how about from happiness? And the happiness they feel inside, they tend to want to share it. Instead of seek it for themselves, they're sharing it. So to answer your question, I think it's vitally important, because people tend to listen to people who emit a high frequency vibration of sharing, of giving, and realize that peace and happiness that you see in that coach or in that player is not manufactured for television. This is the real deal. And you'll wonder why they're successful, because it transcends the success we see on the ice, on the field.
You know, your attitude has always been infectious, and now as you're on this journey, it obviously takes on greater significance. But I saw you say about your diagnosis, I believe I was blessed with cancer, not cursed, and that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. I'm wondering, how much has it meant to you, as somebody who's worked with some of the biggest names in sports and in the world, to be able to meet some of these cancer survivors and cancer patients and know that what you're doing will help them and other people who haven't even been diagnosed yet?
Wow, that's the grace, Jeff and Jason. That's really good, because you see the courage and the stick-to-itiveness of pro athletes. And you're right, some of the greatest athletes I've had a chance to cross paths with. Then you see these cancer victims. There's a fellow, Yusmita Jr., who is 43, 11 years ago, diagnosed with brain cancer, given 3 to 5 years to live. It's 11 years now. It's 11 years. So you see the stick-to-itiveness to life, not just on the court or in the field or on the ice, but you see these people who are so courageous, so vigilant and diligent and sticking on a path. And that's what we want to share. We want to share their secrets. We want to share their means of nutrition and fitness and spirituality mind, body, spirit with a capital S. And, it's a really cool opportunity. And we all shift. Look at, guys, it's not 6 degrees of separation from a cancer victim or survivor to us. It's not 2 degrees. I can almost guarantee it's either 1 degree or 0 degrees. Now you know me. If you knew no one else, it's 1 degree. So we all have a power. And you had a great quote there. Was that Jeff who said that? Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. That's 3,500 years old. A fat athlete known as Buddha said that. But remember, pain is inevitable. In this human condition, we're going to have back pain, anterior cruciate ligament sprains, neck strains, radiating pain, broken wrist. But suffering, that's a choice. I'm not talking about the suffering and sorrow from the loss of a loved one. That comes from love. That's a manifestation of love. I'm talking about the suffering that is manifested from fear. And fear comes from leaving the now, the present moment, and being pulled into the past with memory, comparison to what I used to be able to do, or projecting into the future and what I can't do, or what I'm afraid I won't be able to do, or how long do I have to live, or how painful will this treatment be? And it's really, this suffering can induce more psychological pain than the treatment plan itself. So that is really where I'm trying to make an impact. If I can go in there and eliminate or alleviate or shorten, decrease the amount of suffering that they generate within themselves, and let them realize they have that choice by coming into the present moment, into the now, that presence, that powerful presence that they have. I mean, that's the ultimate grace.
Well, the movement you are launching is the Health and Energy Through Active Living Every Day Healed Project. The people can learn more, www.acshealed.com. Pat, we can't thank you enough for the time. We wish you the best on this journey and look forward to following it and being a part of it with you.
Jeff and Jason, thank you. Thank you for your time, because I know it's not much sports we're talking about on sports radio, but it transcends sports. And I just think it's fabulous that you guys took the time. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
We appreciate it. You have a great one, Pat. Jeff,
Bye-bye.